Welcome back to NerdMDs StackByte, where we turn one of our latest Substack posts into a 10-minute power session. This allows our subscribers to listen to a discussion about recent content to further digest our NerdMDs content. We are here for you readers and listeners. The link to the Substack article will be in the show notes. Sit back and relax and enjoy this most recent NerdMDs StackByte.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into a really fascinating story, a personal one, about professional reinvention. It's about a physician who stepped away from a pretty established leadership role, a CMIO, Chief Medical Information Officer, to, well, help rethink healthcare from the ground up. And in doing that, he found what he calls his professional tribe. So, yeah, the source we're looking at is an opinion piece. I left my CMIO role to join a startup and end up finding my tribe. It's by Dr. Adam Carewe. It was on Off Call first, then his Substack.
Absolutely. And our goal here really is to unpack why. Why make such a huge pivot? It's not just about what he did, but the deeper motivations. What does his journey tell us about, innovation, finding fulfillment in your work, and maybe where healthcare is heading? And as we talk through it, maybe think about your own path, what resonates.
Okay, so let's jump in. Dr. Wee starts with this really vivid scene. He's leaving the Kaiser building, his last day after 13 years, turned in the badge, wiped his tech, said his goodbyes, all that. Then he's just sitting in his car. And he mentions the silence felt heavy, unexpectedly so. But the key thing he stresses right away is this wasn't burnout. He wasn't disillusioned. Actually, the opposite. He was incredibly proud of the work the teams he built there.
Yeah, and that's so important. It wasn't a reaction against something bad. It feels more proactive. So many career changes come from, frustration, running from something. But this sounds like he was pulled towards something else. He talks about this quiet internal voice asking these, bigger questions.
Like what? What were the questions?
Things like, what if your role isn't just to improve the system anymore, but to reimagine it completely? And what if your next chapter is defined less by security and more by creativity, by invention? It suggests that sometimes real change comes not from fixing problems, but from seeing a totally different possibility.
That shift from just optimizing to wanting to build something new that feels significant. He felt this urgency, he says, to build at the root and to find others who felt the same. How common do you think that feeling is for people deep into their careers?
I think it's probably more common than we talk about, especially when you've mastered your current role. You start asking, is this the right thing to be doing fundamentally, not just how can I do it better? And the ones who act on it, like Dr. Carewe, seem willing to step into that uncertainty, to trust that feeling that there's something more fundamental to contribute.
So his background kind of set the stage for this. He started in family medicine, right? Believed in continuity, community, the whole person.
Exactly. That patient focus is what actually pulled him into informatics, the tech side of healthcare. He saw technology as this double-edged sword. It could either push doctors away from patients or, if designed right, bring them closer. And he spent over a decade at Kaiser Permanente really working at that intersection, trying to make tech serve the care.
And he wasn't just in meetings either. He kept practicing clinically. Video, phone, chat, even that asynchronous messaging thing.
Yeah, where you message back and forth without being online together.
Right. He did all that to stay connected to what it's actually like on the front lines. He was apparently the guy always asking, why are we doing it this way? Or how can this be better? Even mastered Epic, the EHR system, to find efficiencies.
And that grounding was key to his leadership. He helped streamline documentation, make digital tools easier to use, develop new ways to deliver care. And critically, he fought to make sure clinicians had a voice in designing the tools they had to use. That bridge between the clinical reality and the tech is where he really made his mark.
Still, leaving that kind of role, it's a big deal. It wasn't just changing jobs. He mentions letting go of part of his identity, the influence he had, the comfort zone.
Absolutely. It's a huge personal and professional cost. And despite being proud of his work, he started seeing these cracks, as he calls them. He saw tech adding noise, not clarity. Tools adding clicks, not value. Patient journeys feeling like a maze, not a clear path. These weren't small things. They were fundamental obstacles to the kind of care he believed in.
So those cracks, that growing feeling, it pushed him towards this idea that the future needed builders. Especially now with data, AI, more focus on user experience. He felt he needed to, quote, learn, unlearn, and build new muscles.
What do you think he means by new muscles, and why was finding a tribe so central to that? Well, new muscle sounds like acquiring totally different skills, not just clinical or informatics skills, but understanding things like product development, how startups work, venture capital, design thinking. It's a different language, a different way of operating than in a large established institution. And the tribe part, well, doing that kind of building, that reimagining, it's incredibly hard to do alone. You need people asking the same questions, challenging you, supporting you through the ambiguity. It's about finding that shared mindset, that collective energy.
Okay, so how did he find them? This sounds kind of random, actually. August 2023, he finds a Slack group. Clinicians who VC venture capital. He wasn't a VC himself, but he was curious.
Right. Curious about how companies get built, how doctors could shape things beyond the clinic. And he describes it as just jumping in, listening to founders pitch ideas, hearing the tough questions investors asked, learning by osmosis almost. He was actively building those muscles, just not in a classroom. More like on-the-job training for a world he wasn't formally part of yet.
And then came this moment. He sees a job post in that group. Something like portfolio company building a novel triage service needs world-class MDs, full or part-time flexible. Portfolio company, meaning a startup backed by a VC firm.
Exactly. And what gave it extra weight was seeing it shared by TJ Parker.
Ah, the PillPack guy, acquired by Amazon.
That's the one. So it felt like a serious opportunity, something credible. So he makes the leap, joins them in August 2024, and the experience sounds intense. Lean, fast, very operational. They got up and running, serving patients across all 50 states pretty quickly. Volume went up, workflows got simpler, like just a few clicks, and patient satisfaction was really high. And that's where he says he felt it, found his people. A team really aligned on building something fundamentally different, prioritizing impact and speed.
And what was his role in that? Sounds like he wasn't just the doctor of the room. He was bringing that real-world clinical context, challenging assumptions from the tech side, but also learning their language, product, venture, design, sort of translated between those worlds.
Precisely. And that highlights the importance of the connections he made. Other clinicians who'd made similar jumps, engineers, designers who cared about the patient experience as much as the outcome, potential partners for future ideas. That network, that became his tribe, the ecosystem he needed to build.
And fast forward to May 2025, the project they'd been working on quietly goes public. It's called General Medicine.
Yeah.
He sounds incredibly proud of what they built in stealth mode.
Yeah, and his whole journey really reinforces his belief that big changes in healthcare might not come from tweaking the old systems. It's more likely to come from newcomers, from these networks of committed people asking hard questions and building what should be, not just what is. It's a different model for innovation, really. More distributed, more collaborative.
He also talks about the timing of his leap. He says it wasn't perfect, but it was right. That's an interesting distinction.
It is. Perfect implies zero risk, everything lined up neatly, which, let's face it, rarely happens in big decisions, right? Timing seems more about his own internal readiness meeting an opportunity. He felt if he'd done it earlier, he wouldn't have had the depth of experience.
Right, the perspective from those 13 years.
Exactly. But if he'd waited longer, maybe he'd have become too comfortable, missed that window for growth and building those new muscles. It speaks to self-awareness, I think. And that really brings it back to you, the listener. Especially if you're a clinician or anyone feeling that tension between improving the current system and wanting something more. His message is, you're not alone. Your perspective, your skills, they're incredibly valuable. Whether you lead change from inside or, like him, step outside to build anew. He puts it pretty directly. Healthcare needs physicians to lead again.
And he sums it all up so well. I didn't leave medicine. I just started practicing it differently. And in doing so, I found my tribe. It's not about abandoning who you are, but finding new ways to express that purpose. Oh, and as a practical note, the source mentions General Medicine is actually hiring physicians, NPs, and PAs now.
So maybe the question to leave you with is this. How can seeing the cracks in the systems around us be the first step towards truly reimagining them? And what does finding your tribe really mean in your professional life? Is it about finding that community that empowers you to build what's next?
Lots to think about there. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Dr. Carewe's story of change, innovation, and finding that professional home. We hope it gave you some things to reflect on.
Thank you for listening to Efficiency Unlocked, Nerd Tested, MD Approved, a NerdMDs podcast by Drs. Adam Carewe and Dale Gold.